Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. Well, this week we have a really cool rock blues solo composition. It's played at a very slow pace, and we've got kind of like some overdrive going on, a lot of fast licks, some slow stuff. It's all sort of mixed together, but it's over a very simple premise that we're going to go over in this video, where we go between the major chord and its relative minor chord. And you're going to walk away with a better understanding of how to improvise in this style. At least that's my goal for you. So I've got the lesson split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second video and download the tablature for this, you can get those things by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP334. All right, so we have a powerful lesson this week. We're going to break down this rock blues composition note for note, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to play through it by yourself. So that's something to be excited about. But the real advantage is understanding why it all works. And once you can get your head around that, and it's not difficult, it's really two chords we're going to be playing off. But there's a link between those two chords, which is the pentatonic scale. We're going to use the same pentatonic scale for the E chord that we play over the C sharp minor chord, which is its relative minor. So I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I just wanted to kind of set this up. We're going to start with a major chord, which is the E chord, and its relative minor, which is the C sharp minor chord. Every major chord has a relative minor chord, and every minor chord has a relative major. What do I mean by relative? Well, they're just like, they work well together. So we're going to be playing this song in the key of E, but it doesn't start on the E, it starts on the relative minor to E, which is C sharp minor. Let me show you how to find a relative minor chord really quickly. It's just, and I've mentioned this before, but you take the major chord, or the note of that major chord, and you go this direction 3 frets on your guitar. So 1, 2, 3. So, and then you make a minor chord out of that note. So that would be your C sharp minor. So your E chord has a relative minor of C sharp minor. So you can do that anywhere on the neck. The other way you can think about that is it's just the 6th chord. So what is the 6th chord when you're talking about the key of E? Well, the 6th chord would be a minor chord, and that would be your C sharp minor. Okay, so that's a major chord and its relative minor. But the big advantage, as we're going to break this down, you're going to see, and I'll call it out when we get to it. But let's start off with the first thing that I played in this. So the song is played in the key of E, but I'm starting off on the C sharp minor. And the way that I started this goes like this. That's the first thing we're going to learn. Actually, there was a little walk up that goes. I forgot about that. So I'm starting, let's start with the walk up, and then we'll get into the C sharp minor. But it's just the open E string, that low E string. And then we're going to play 7, 8, 9 on this 6th string. And once we come to that 9, and that's just like what a little bass fill would be, it's start helping to define this thing. Once we come to that 9th fret, that is your C sharp. And so that's where we're going to be playing our C sharp minor. And so the way that I'm thinking about this is I'm thinking about the C sharp minor chord right there. That's where you bar all 6 strings on the 9th fret, and then you've got your ring finger and your pinky on the 11th fret, strings 5 and 4. It's the same as your E minor chord, right? But you slide it up and then you bar here where the nut was. So, okay, so that's where we're going to be playing out of. So, after that, I've got the bar there, and then I'm going to come up to strings 2 and 3 and play this little hammer-on between the 9th fret and the 11th fret on the 3rd string. It's a downstroke. So now after that I'm going to play. So that's my ring finger on the 11th fret 4th string. My index finger goes down on the 9th fret strings 2 and 3, and then back to that 11th fret 4th string, and then I come down to the 9th fret 4th string. Last note there. Now after that 9th fret 4th string, we're going to do a muted down and a muted up. And it's like this, real fast. So all together it goes. And that's the first phrase. And all we've done there is we've just defined kind of, even without really playing a full chord yet, we've defined that we're playing over C sharp minor. It's starting to make sense that it's like a minor sounding thing. Now what are these notes? Those are the C sharp minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. So when you look at that minor chord where you've got the bar there, those are your notes of your minor pentatonic scale for C sharp minor. And you can see how you can connect all of those notes on this fret as your root fret, because those are notes that all are in that scale, but those are the same notes that are in the chord when you're barring it there. So that's how I always think about it. That's why I always go back to these chord shapes, because I can link the scale to it. So your minor pentatonic scale for C is all right there. Now what's cool is we're about to switch over and go to the E chord, and the same notes there are the notes that work for the E chord. Those would be your major pentatonic scale. That would be the major pentatonic scale for E. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's where we're going with this. So let's back it up from the beginning. We have now after that we're going to come back into the C sharp, and this time we are going to play the chord. And the way that I did that was I barred there on the 9th fret. I've got these 2 fingers down and played the full chord. 6th string, 5 and 4, and then the top part of the chord. Then I played this lick that goes. So we're going to learn that. These are all notes in that minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1. We're going to start with a pre-bend, so we're going to go ahead and bend first, and then release. So that's the 11th fret 3rd string, down to the 9th fret 3rd string, and then down to the 11th fret 4th string. So we have, and then watch this. Really nice sounding, kind of bluesy, kind of country. But what I'm doing for that is I'm barring the first 4 strings now on the 9th fret. I'm playing strings 4 and 3. And I'm going to do a hammer-on between the 9th fret and the 11th fret on the 4th string. But play both strings, that 4 and 3 string. Then take that off and play the 9th fret by itself. And then there's that hammer-on that happens between the 10th fret 5th string and the 11th fret 5th string. And then I come up to the 9th fret 4th string. Now that's a mouthful, but all that is, that lick, is a C sharp minor pentatonic scale lick, but it's also an E major pentatonic scale lick. See, if you play your E chord, or just play your E note in the bass, sounds great. If I play the C sharp minor in the bass, it works over that as well. Let's back it up from the beginning and play up to that point. Now, right after that, then I'm going to come down, even while I'm holding that bar down, I'm going to come down and hit that open E string. This is where the alternation happens between the minor chord and then its relative major. And so I'm not playing the full E chord, but by hitting that open E string, it already sort of sets it up for the listener's ear. And what I played after that was, because remember I had the bar there on the first 4 strings on that 9th fret, I played strings 4, 3, and 2. Well, listen to that. That's an E chord. So how is that happening? How is that an E chord? Well, There's your E chord right there using the A shape out of Caged, right? And look at where my bar is there. That's where that was. So hopefully a light bulb went off for some of you and you realized, oh, okay, so that major chord is in that bar, or in that fret rather, which would be that 9th fret. That's also the root fret for that C sharp minor. That's also an anchor for playing the pentatonic scale. So when you kind of see all three of those things happening off of that fret, it starts to become powerful because you can move that fret anywhere. You're not limited to just playing this in this key. You could do it anywhere. Now obviously I'm hitting that open E string, so that's going to limit you somewhat. You'd have to change your technique as far as how you set up that major chord. But the rest of it you wouldn't. So that's where we are. So we have the E chord, and then I went. Now for that, while I hit that chord, I'm gonna hit pluck. Now you can use your pick if you want, but I find it more precise sounding to pluck strings 2 and 3 out of that chord, and then I come up here with my ring finger on the 12th fret 2nd string and my middle finger on the 11th fret 3rd string, and play those 2 notes, and then I go back to that 9th fret. Now what are these notes? Well, they're just major pentatonic scale, pattern 1. You can see the notes in that scale. And when I played that, I was not even thinking about chord shapes or anything. I was just thinking about the major pentatonic scale, pattern 1. What kinds of things can I play together? So that's where that came from. All right, so let's back it up and take it from the beginning. Now after that, I came down and hit the E down here. Now, I did sort of a dramatic slide there. You don't have to add that. I just thought that sounded kind of cool, especially with some overdrive. And I didn't talk about tone settings in this, but I did have some overdrive going on. I've got it dialed down. I think it's easier to do the instructional part without all of that. But so I just played an E chord down to the open 6th string, and then played the E chord, and then I went. And what I'm doing for that, I've got my pinky. So I keep the E chord with my left hand, but my pinky is doing a hammer-on. Can I get the angle? It's doing a hammer-on to the 2nd fret 3rd string, and a pull-off, and then I play the 4th string behind it. That's a nice little flourish off of that E chord. If you're ever playing an E chord and you just want a little embellishment. So reviewing what we've done, we've played the C sharp minor chord 2 times through, and then we've played the E chord 2 times through. Now we're going to go back to the C sharp minor. Now I could have come up back to where I started, but I remembered, oh yeah, there's another C sharp minor. We don't have to just play it here. Why don't we play the one here? So I've got my bar here on the 4th fret, and then these 3 fingers are going to make up that A minor chord shape. So I know you know how to make an A minor down at 1st position. If you were to slide that up and then bar here on the 4th fret, you've now moved that A minor up to a C sharp minor. So those are really the 2 major voicings of that minor chord, is that one and that one, the E minor shape and the A minor shape. Alright, so to get to that C sharp minor chord, I played the open 6th string, I slid up to the 4th fret on the 6th string, and then I put my bar down and hit the 5th string. Played the rest of the chord. Just like that. Now after that I played a lick that goes. That would be your C sharp minor pentatonic scale, but that would be pattern 4 of the C sharp minor pentatonic. So that's all that is. And I go through all 5 patterns in the Blues Lead course. If you're a premium member, you have access to that. But that's pattern 4. I want you to look at the lick that we're playing here and connect it back to this chord shape. So in the future, if you're ever playing a minor chord like this, using this shape, you know that you can real quickly pivot over into pattern 4 right off of that chord shape, and you can play whatever little fill lick you want. But here's how I'm playing that. I'm on the 5th or the 7th fret, string 2. I do a pre-bend release down to the 5th fret, 2nd string, 6th fret, 3rd string, and then a hammer-on between the 5th fret and the 7th fret on the 2nd string. So all together it goes. Now I'm using my, to get that poppy sound, I'm using my middle finger to pop that string as opposed to picking it. That's just something I heard when I was doing that. I wanted that to sound bright and poppy. And the Telecaster pickups tend to do that anyway. But when you pull your finger off the string like that, you get a real snappy sound. I like that. So that's what's going on there. Then I go back to the C sharp minor, same way that we played it before, and then I went. Now this is just walking down that minor pentatonic scale, pattern 4 that I talked about. So I'm starting on the 4th fret, 2nd string, and I'm doing a hammer on to the 5th fret, 2nd string. Some of you are going to catch on to that first note, and you're going to say, wait, that note is not in the minor pentatonic scale. The rest of it all is, but not that note. And you're right, that note would actually be in the minor scale though. Remember, you can take your minor pentatonic scale and you can add 2 extra notes to it and turn it into the proper minor scale. I don't want to get into that because that's a whole other thing, but that's what that note is, and that's why that's not in the minor pentatonic scale. So, but you can remember that going forward, and you can see it in this chord shape. When I see that chord shape, I see, right? So anyway, 4th fret, we do the hammer on to the 5th fret, back to the 4th fret, and then we do 6 and 4 on the 3rd string. And then we're going to do a quick slide from the 6th fret down to the 4th fret on the 4th string, down to the 2nd fret, 4, 2 on the 5th string. So all together. And all that was just walking right down minor pentatonic scale pattern 4. I wasn't even being creative or clever. I was just walking my way down. And part of the reason I was going down was I knew that we were going to try and get to the E chord. Because remember, we played the C sharp minor chord twice. So now the next thing would be to get back to that E chord. And that just walked right down nicely to that open 6th string, which is your E note. All right, let's back up from the beginning and play through all of that to that point, and then we'll go through the last part. So here we go. Back to the E chord, same little embellishment like before. And the only difference was the second time I did that. And so that's a little John Mellencamp kind of thing, but it's a 6th string, open 6th string, sliding up to the 4th fret, and then we go to the 2nd fret, 4th string, and then back to that open E string. It's just a nice little fill lick. And then after that I played the E chord. Now I do this kind of a Stevie Ray Vaughan sounding lick. I don't do a lot of Stevie Ray stuff just because I can't do a lot of it, but this lick goes. This lick is an awesome lick. It's actually fairly simple to do. But in this one instance, I'm getting out of that pentatonic scale for the major pentatonic scale. Remember, anytime I've been playing over the E chord, I've been playing major pentatonic scale. More happy sounding. But in this instance, I went into the minor pentatonic scale for E. So that's minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 for E. And we're going to start here with the 3rd fret 1st string. And when I hit that, I push it a little bit sharp. And then we're going to play the open 1 string, 3rd fret 2nd string, open 2nd string. And then we're going to do 2nd fret 3rd string, open, down to the 2nd fret 4th string. And you can see these notes here. That's just your minor pentatonic scale pattern 1 for E, right? After that, I just did my hammer on to the 1st fret 3rd string, and then played the open 1 and 2 string. That's just the E chord. You can see I just made the E chord there at the end of that. Now let that be a nice little fill lick that you can use. It's fairly easy to play because you've got your nut here. So like if you wanted to do that in G, you could do it in any key, but you have to make up for where that nut is because you gotta fret those notes. And in this case, you don't have to fret it because the nut's there doing that for you. So it makes that lick a little easier to play, in my opinion. Now this is where the song goes on to the second part, where we go into the A. But I'm going to save the rest of that for part 2, and that'll be for premium members, so you can get into all that. If you're not a premium member, check into it. It's an awesome deal. You get access to jam tracks, tablature, on-screen tab viewer, be part of the Active Melody family, which is a big growing family, and we're very interactive on the forum. Lots of benefits to that. But anyway, so let's back up from the beginning of this. We're going to go through part 1 rather, one more time. I'll play through it slowly, and then I'll see you in part 2, and we'll go over the rest of this. Okay, so here we go.